The dark origins of sea monkeys are leaving parents seriously uneasy. What do you do when your kid wants a pet but they're not responsible or financially stable enough to take care of a dog? You turn to sea monkeys, of course. Aquatic specks that zip and zoom around a portable tank. They're the perfect pals for a kid curious about the world. But before you fork over some cash to become a proud grandparent to sea monkeys, you might want to see what exactly they are and the dark truth behind the man who first sold them. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. Their name is spread far and wide, but few people really know what sea monkeys are. They don't live in the sea, and they're far from what you would call monkeys. The truth is, they weren't given the name until sometime after their creation. It started with Harold von Braun Hut back in 1957. He was notorious for selling the most ridiculous products, like X-ray glasses and invisible goldfish. Seeing the success of the ant farm in 1956, he eyed his own slice of the simple pet market. He looked to what were not yet called sea monkeys, which were bred from a type of shrimp called brine shrimp in the 1950s. This explained their shape, of course, but it does not explain why we call them monkeys. Well, the scientists that artificially created these creatures named them Artemia nios, calling card based on the brine shrimp's official moniker, Artemia salina. That name wasn't going to sell these creatures to anyone, so von Braun Hut honed in on one specific trait of these shrimp to come up with a new name. See, the creatures have the capability to undergo cryptobiosis, which is when a being slows its internal systems down to the point that it almost seems dead, for decades or centuries even, but is still alive. They can survive in this way without oxygen. Exciting for sci-fi lovers, horrifying for the rest of us. Taking this into consideration, von Braun Hut and his team discussed new names for Artemia nios and landed on Instant Life. The name made a lot of sense when you consider the way they were packaged and sold. With Instant Life, all you needed to do was fill your tank with distilled water and a packet of water purifier. After letting the so-called purified water sit for 24 hours, you then pour in the packet of live eggs. Then life instantly is born. Of course, this was all a marketing scam. See, there was no instant life being created the moment you pour the final live eggs packet. In fact, if you were to do away with the packet, you would still have your odd aquatic pet. They're actually in the first packet. The key is in their cryptobiosis. Hidden in the back of distilled water were several of these genetically modified brine shrimp in a state of cryptobiosis, frozen without the need for food or water. Once poured into the water, they seemingly came to life. They were never dead. Instant Life sold for 49 cents. But von Braun Hut wasn't satisfied with the name. Shortly after the turn of the decade in 1952, von Braun Hut again changed the name, this time looking at a physical aspect of the creature for inspiration. Looking at these shrimp's somewhat ape-like tails, he dubbed his on-the-market pet sea monkeys. Although they do have some sort of tail, it's still very difficult to see any resemblance. Regardless, the name stuck. The pet was popularized by an unlikely medium. Throughout the 60s and 70s, comic book illustrator Joe Orlando, shown here, portrayed sea monkeys in his works, though he drew them as humanoids and not shrimp. This was von Braun Hut's plan. "I think I bought something like 3.2 million pages of comic book advertising a year," he said. Sea monkeys made Harold von Braun Hut rich and famous, and he elected to spend his money in the way he saw fit. Most people buy a bigger home, a new car, or even go on vacation, but Braun Hut decided to donate his money, just not to a decent nonprofit. The marketer and inventor donated his money to the Aryan Brotherhood, despite being Jewish himself. People started looking closer at von Braun Hut, and they saw he had some seriously dangerous connections. News leaked out of von Braun Hut's ties with neo-Nazis in an interview with Richard Butler, head of the Aryan Nations. Butler was facing charges in federal court and told his interviewer that von Braun Hut was supporting him with funds from a new and dangerous invention. After the success of sea monkeys, von Braun Hut came up with the Kyoga Agent M5, a pen-size coil spring weapon that unfurled a metal whip at the flick of a wrist. It was marketed as the ideal weapon when you need a gun but can't get a license. Von Braun Hut used these earnings to support neo-Nazis. Von Braun Hut not only supported white supremacist groups financially, he also participated. He held a funeral service for Butler's wife, calling himself an ordained priest. As shocking as all this was, there was so much more. Harold von Braun Hut reportedly stated that Hitler wasn't a bad guy, he just got bad press. If his own sinister affiliations didn't tarnish his reputation, and that of sea monkeys, then this twisted proclamation sure did. All of von Braun Hut's close ties with white supremacist groups became public knowledge when he died in 2003. Parents have to be so careful about what they're buying their kids these days. Many seemingly innocent toys from our childhoods have been banned because of their alarming dangers. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspirational stories.